Hello, Nate. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm glad that you're able to sit with us today. I just want to let you know that this is being recorded for our teacher. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Yes, okay. We're having this meeting because we're assigned the task of interviewing a logistics manager for a supply chains management class. And my name is Jemai Verdes, and I'm here with my classmates.
I'm Bethany Erdley.
I'm Hannah Patello.
And I'm Taylor Hartman.
And I don't want to take too much of your time, so we'll just get right to it. The first question we have is, what was your journey like prior to obtaining your current position?
So just a little bit about myself. I've been working in supply chain for about 11 years. I graduated college in, I think, 2011. While I was in college, I did a couple internships, completely not supply chain related. It was mostly just for me to learn what it's like to work in an office and, write professional emails and those types of things. So doing that really helped me prepare for, the language that's spoken in an interview professionally. And then also, like, once I got the job, how to act appropriately. So out of college, I had like 2 or 3 internships under my belt. But my first job was with American Apparel in Los Angeles. It's a vertically integrated manufacturer. And what that means is everything's done in-house. The raw materials are made there and then all the way through the finished goods. My role there was a production planning analyst. And what that means is looking at the sewing lines, looking at our raw materials to see what can be produced, what orders we can't make, those kinds of things. And then after that, I went to Vans, the footwear company, and I worked in what's called supply planning. Supply planning is, again, just kind of managing the overall production, but in this case, it's overseas, and just making sure everything delivers on time. And if it's not delivering on time, kind of look at the overall financial impact to see what does that mean for our customers, what does that mean for our bottom line as well as our top line, and then kind of develop a new plan of action to make sure we get the revenue that we need. Then from there, I went to demand planning. So I had a little bit of flavor of both. So I went to demand planning at 7 Jeans in Los Angeles still. Did that for a few years. And what that means is with finance to see what financially the company needs to make in terms of dollars. And then we're working with designers and merchandisers as well as our customers to see what does that mean from an individual unit perspective. So, like, for example, if you have 10 pairs of jeans priced at different price points, one's $50, one's $75. We come up with the forecast to see how many of the $50 pairs of jeans do we need to sell, or how many of the 75, and see what does that mean to make that target number and how can we exceed it. And then my current role right now is with Levi's, and I've been there for about 5.5 years. So my official title there is Senior Manager of Global Supply Planning. Similar to what I did at Vans, it's the same thing, managing the overseas production, developing forecasts, and then mitigating risk to the business as much as possible.
Okay, awesome. Our second question was Hannah was going to ask, which was, you can go ahead, Hannah. I know you already answered it, but you can ask it again, I guess.
So this is kind of like a similar question. It's just going to be, how would you describe your current job role? Like what would the average day in your life look like currently?
So for planning, especially in logistics as well, it's run like a pretty much a monthly cadence. So in each week, each day, you're doing a very specific task. And the reason that's why that is that way is because we're tracking to the lead times. So in manufacturing, each step in the process has a certain amount of time that you have to kind of take into the equation. So let's say, for example, you're building a t-shirt, your fabric takes, let's say, 40 days, sewing takes 20 days, and then shipping takes 50 days. Your conversation and what you're working on is going to be based on where you are in that time period. So usually I'll just walk to the office, be there for, normal 9 to 5, but beyond the actual monthly cadence is mostly just talking about the future forecast and seeing what we have in the that can support that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, Jeremiah, you're going to ask the next question.
Yes. I'm sure you've touched on this already. I'm just wondering, Can you go into detail about what activity is the most valuable to your position?
On-time delivery. So basically you have customers waiting for thousands or maybe even millions of units, and you fall short, you're in trouble. So you kind of have to figure out how do you get that revenue like I was talking about. So if there's a problem with, say, black jeans, you might substitute it for like maybe a different rinse or a different wash, and you might have to give your customer a discount. Those are unfortunate things, but at the end of the day, like you want to make sure that you fulfill all your orders.
Okay.
All right, and then the fourth question will be Hannah.
So this question is just going to ask a little bit about what are like the metrics you are judged on within the business? Like what does your organization expect from you day to day?
So again, it's just that on-time delivery. So looking at, we're never going to be 100% on time across millions of units, but you want to be on time with the right product. So what you're looking at is like margin. So you want to have the right products at the right location at the right time in order to get those sales. So let's say, for example, you have something with a margin of 50% and something with a margin of 85. If your vendor can only do the 50, you're going to need more units of the 50 to hit your target. But if you can get the 85 on time, you're going to need less units. So it's really about hitting your target number and making sure that you're delivering as much as possible.
All righty. I'll ask the next one. What are the main difficulties or challenges in your job?
Well, since COVID happened, it's been pretty different. Problems, we had vendors shut down. We've even had like typhoons and things like that happen.
Wow.
Because once the product is on the ocean, you kind of don't know what's going on until it arrives. We've had containers arrive where you open it up and it's full of water. So all those products are now just completely wasted. So it kind of keeps it interesting, but at the same time, like you have to kind of, like I said, be reactive and think of other options to make sure you're delivering what you need to.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. All right. This last question is Taylor is going to ask it.
Alrighty. So what other departments do you interact with? And then what kind of information do you exchange with those departments as well?
So I interact a lot with product development and merchandising. So merchandising basically picks out what products we're going to have in the line. Product development is the one that puts it all together. So they'll choose what type of fabric and what type of embellishments might be on there. And my team goes through and plans that stuff. So we'll say in this time of year, in this price point, and this type of fabric, we might deliver this many units. And then we work back with finance to say, do we need to have net revenue of $1 million for this customer? And then we'll say, here's how we think we can get to that $1 million. And here's our safety net.
Okay. All righty. Awesome. And then Taylor's going to close us out.
Thank you very much for meeting with us. We all appreciate it very much. And I feel like we have learned some very valuable information from you. So once again, just thank you so much for meeting with us and answering our questions.
Of course, no problem.
All right. I will stop the